like to tell a true story that happened sometime back. I live out in Colorado, and I was at the airport getting my seat assignment to fly to North Carolina, and I had requested the bulkhead seat because it gives you the illusion of more space, if nothing else. And anyway, the agent said, "I'm sorry, it's occupied. I can give you the seat right behind." So, fine, no big deal. I would take that. But as I boarded the plane, I overheard a flight attendant say that there's a hearing aid dog on board. And just like there are seeing dogs, there are hearing dogs. And sure enough, in bulkhead, there was a man seated all by himself with a brown Labrador retriever at his feet. And the man would make some gesture, and the dog would obey, and he'd do some other sign, and again the dog would respond. So I assumed it must be this deaf man that I had heard referenced. And he was on the aisle seat in bulkhead with a window and center seat unoccupied. And I was behind him on the aisle seat. So I took out a piece of paper and wrote a note and said, "When we take off, if those seats remain unoccupied, do you mind if I move up?" And I tapped him on the shoulder and handed him the note. He read it, and he leaned around and nodded like that would be okay. So a little while later, I did move up, and I just kind of smiled at him in appreciation and then went about my work. And a little while later, he leaned over and he whispered, he says, "You can talk to me. I'm not deaf." And I blushed. I was a bit embarrassed because, that's what I had assumed. And I said, "Well, I overheard a flight attendant say there's a hearing aid dog, and I saw your dog, and I assumed." He said, "Well, my dog is trained to perform in the movies. That's what I do for a living," he said. "So I always act like the dog is a hearing aid dog so he can travel with me and not be shipped in cargo." And he said, "Now, if an attendant comes up, be sure and do like some sign language like we're communicating." So we have a delightful conversation. He's telling me all about the Hollywood openings with the starlets and the limos, and of course, word has been passed. There's a deaf man, and the flight attendant comes up, and she kind of leans into him, and with exaggerated facial expressions, she says, "May I get you a beverage?" Then she turned to me and said, "May I get you a beverage?" So not only had she concluded what he wanted her to conclude, she assumed it about me, too, because she sensed we were communicating. And I thought, you know what? This man is doing what you and I don't do enough of. I am not promoting his dishonesty. I want to make that perfectly clear. I am not promoting that. But I am promoting the fact he has thought in advance of the effect he wants to have on people, has certain props, acts a certain way, people see him and conclude what he wants. And that's what you and I don't do enough of. We hope that our hard work, our earnestness, our effort will get us recognition, appreciation, and reward. All of that is necessary, but it's not sufficient. You also have to do more to control your effect on others. And when I talk about effect, I don't mean an affectation, an artifice. I mean, just let me ask you, to all the people who have joined in, and thank you for joining, by the way. I know you have a lot of other things you could be doing, so thank you for joining us. But would it be okay, so let me ask you, would it be okay that in addition to being thought of as very brilliant in your specialty, that you were also viewed as memorable, impressive, credible, genuine, trusted, comfortable, competent, confident, cool, calm, collected? I mean, would that be okay if that's the effect you have? Because that's what I'm talking about in everything I write and teach and preach, is how to control your effect on others to be more memorable, impressive, credible, genuine, trusted, cool, calm, collected, confident. Because being good is necessary but not sufficient. You also have to control your effect on others. And I'll give you a little secret. I mean, really, this secret covers how to make this happen. If you want to be more memorable, impressive, credible, genuine, trusted, liked, cool, calm, collected, the secret is intelligently observe what most people do in any situation you're in, and then don't do that. Now, without being weird, but that's pretty much what leaders do. They simply stand out from the rest. And today, you have to stand out when you work in person, when you meet in person, but you also have to stand out when you are not in person, when you are online. Either way of communicating in person or not in person, you still have to be memorable, impressive, credible, in addition to your brilliance.